We have Colette tonight. She's a 6A2 in Enagic. We were just laughing because she only signed up 8 people in order to have a couple hundred sales. And she never had any network marketing background. She didn't have any sales background. She didn't have any health background. She's just amazing. So we're going to pick her brain tonight. I've got a list of questions, and I am very excited to learn from her too, because I believe we can all take something from somebody. Our very first event that we did, I remember the fair event. So kind of tell the audience here what happened at the fair and that set you up.
Yeah. So I'd had enough of my job. I quit. I told Bruce, my husband, I said, I can't do this anymore. Something's got to go. Well, Amanda got wind that I was sitting at home, and she's like, no, she can't be sitting at home. So she calls me, she goes, what are you doing? I go, nothing. She goes, that's what I heard. Like, really nothing. And I go, nothing. She goes, well, I got a booth at the fair. I got tickets for you. I'm going to teach you how to do this demo. You're going to be a rock star. Come on out. And I'm like, how do you say no? I'm like, okay. So I went out there and I met her, and she's like teaching me how to do the demo, talking to people. And like, she did that for hours with me, hours and hours. And then all of a sudden she goes, okay, we're going to lunch. You're on your own. I'm like, what? She goes, you can do it. You can handle it. You're good. I'm like, okay. And so I was showing people, talking to people, talking. And this one gentleman walked by, and he goes, that's very interesting. I got his attention. So like, he would just stay there and say, he goes, let me go get my son. So he went and got his son. He goes, watch this lady. It's incredible what she does. It's really interesting. It's science. And so he brought his like 14-year-old son, and I'm talking to him and showing him and everything. And then he starts to walk away, and I go, excuse me, sir. Like, why are you leaving me? Please don't leave me. I'm not done. He goes, what do you mean you're not done? I go, did I tell you the company pays really well? And he goes, what? And I go, very well. He goes, tell me more. I go, give me your name and number, and I'll come over and I'll bring Amanda and we'll come talk to you. So I did. I made an appointment. I told Amanda, she goes, great, we'll go, after the fair. So we go to his house in the eastern part of the town. And we knock at the door like at 8:30 in the morning, and there's this little yellow sticky on there. It says, sorry, I had to go. We'll catch up later. And Amanda and I look at each other like, how dare he? No, you can't do that to us. No. And so what happened next was Amanda instructed me, make sure you tell him that he has to come to us now. And I go, okay. So I told him nicely, I said, listen, you weren't there. Please just come to where we are, and we'll discuss it further. And remember, we pay really well, because he liked that money part. And so sure enough, he came. Eventually he got in. And I worked with him for a year, and he went 6A.
And she didn't tell you that she's at the east side of town. Well, down the road over here, it's the kind of shady, I don't think I should get out of my car type of situation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Colette, are you sure we're at the right house? Like, I don't think I should get out of the car. And this guy goes 6A in her business. Mm-hmm. So you never want to lose hope on anybody. You just never know. No. That was your first or second sale?
Oh, my first.
That was your first sale. First sale goes 6A to a guy that, like, wow, we never expected that. Okay, next question. How are you so successful in inviting people to show up for events that we put on together? Because I know a lot of people are like, I can't get anyone to show up at the events. Well, every time Colette invited someone, they always came. So let's hear how you were able to do that.
Well, first of all, I was committed to Amanda, so I could not show up without anybody. I would have to like literally say I broke my leg and have to break it, because my word means so much to me. And if she asks me how many people I'm bringing and I don't bring them, it just breaks my heart. So I started early. She always gave us the information that we could pass on early. I always was like, texting the people, don't forget, I'll pick you up. No, I don't need a ride. Who are you bringing? I asked people to bring people. So I always constantly was promoting the event for, like, that was my forethought. Like, I have, like, And when you think that way, then it's a natural consequence for people to show up, because you're thinking that way, you're working it. It's going to happen.
What kind of things are you saying to people though to get them to actually show up?
Well, first of all, I tell them that you have to meet Amanda. I mean, that's number one. Second is, listen, this is a life-changing event. This will impact you like no other thing in your life. You must come. And you deserve to give yourself an hour. At least get educated. You know, you must be there. It's so important. I'm so passionate that they just catch the passion. You know, like, oh, like, okay. And so, and I always followed up. I was always letting them know, here's the flyer, don't forget, type stuff.
And one thing that I love so much about you is she's not afraid of asking. I remember at the fair, I walk up after lunch and she's there with the demo flip book holding in her hand. She's like, I'd like to know, which one would you like to buy? Like her very second or third demo. And she's like already asking, which one would you like to buy? And so then they'd be like, well, I'm not ready to own yet. She's like, what do you mean you're not ready? Like, I just showed you all the information. She doesn't stop. Like, she's very persistent. So if someone says I'm not coming, she's like, what do you mean you're not coming? Which reminds me of the story you were just telling me about the gentleman at your home that you're giving water to. Would you mind sharing that story and how you're prospecting and how that is just the way of life?
Well, yeah, it's a way of life now. So anytime, anywhere I see something that I look for water drinkers, because they're the ones that are passionate. They seem to be the most, like, I'll see people with bottled water, or in this example, I sell on Marketplace because I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff. I'm minimalizing. And I met this gentleman and I sold my bike and he's writing me a check, and I see this big water thing with lemons in it behind him. And I'm like, okay, thanks, you know, but before I leave, I got to ask you a question. He's like, yeah. I mean, very personable guy. I go, can I ask you why you're drinking lemon water? And he goes, well, isn't it good for you? And I go, well, I got something better. That's what I do. I'm a water expert. I educate people on hydration. And he's like, what? So then I just started talking. I didn't spill everything out. I just said, listen, why don't I just bring you some water? Let the water speak for itself. And he's like, yeah, when? I go, I'm gonna go get it right now and bring it to you. He goes, you are? And I go, yes, it's that important.
Can you give us some more examples of how you go out? You said you look for people that drink water.
Yeah.
Specifically, tell me, like, going to the grocery store, going to the park, how do you meet them? I did notice earlier you used the authority figure. I am a water expert. That's what I do. So now you're painting yourself the image of the authority and people automatically respect you. Very important.
Oh, yes. Immediately that guy was like, oh, well, tell me about it. So that's why I started talking about the science of the water. Like, it's hydrogen, it's ionized, we have platinum plates, medical grade, 99.9% pure. And just to let them know that this isn't a company that's off the wall. We've been around over 45 years. And 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 when I see people drinking water and I'm in a place where I could have a conversation with it, if they're grumpy and rude and not smiling back at me after I say, hey, can you know, how are you today? Or break the ice and then start talking, then I'll just move on. I just say, oh, I hope you have a great day. You know, I don't spend my energy on grumpies because it's too much work.
Absolutely. There's people that you were saying it earlier. Some will, some won't. So what next? Sometimes we get caught up in, oh, you know, this person, I got to convince him of this, that, and the other thing. Is like, you guys, there's so many people out there. We don't need to spend our time on somebody that's not excited like we are.
I tell people, like, I feel like I feel like I'm trying to convince you to try this water, but you know what? I'm not in the convincing business, so I'm out. You know, that's cool. You know, I'm not in the convincing business. I'm in the educating.
That, and when you say it like that in a way like, hey, I'm not going to convince you, what does that do? It's called they just let me go. I want to know what it is. It creates more curiosity, like, oh, they're not attached to me, gosh, she just let me go like that, now I want to know what it is that she's doing.
Yeah.
That's called the takeaway technique in sales. And she didn't even realize she was doing it, but she does it very well.
Well, I've done it for so long that I don't have time for them.
It's true. You
I,
realize those people right off the bat. So,
I love
okay,
you.
tell us about your strategy for following up.
Oh, strategy.
Mhm.
Well, I immediately start giving the water. I start asking them if they're feeling anything. I ask them to watch videos. One thing I know about people is they don't do anything you ask them. It's crazy. I mean, you have to like literally go watch it with them, you know? And but they love the water, and so that's my follow-up. If people want the water, I'll deliver, they can come get it, and that's my methodology. Uh,
Okay.
in person, online or away, it's a little bit different. So like I have a gal that I just found out is our family, and it's through Bruce's adoption. And so immediately Bruce started telling her his story. She wanted to know more about the water. She lives in Oklahoma. So we're working right now on working her, watching the videos, learning about the water so that we can close her. It's a little bit different online.
And would you say how long is it taking you the process of opening and closing from brand new prospect to closing the deal? How long is that taking you?
It varies. It's really, it's, I like to say I'm one of those people that say, listen, by 30 days, you should probably know if you want to invest in this. So, and I tell them that up front. In 30 days, you should know. So let's figure this out together. What do you like about it? What do you want to receive from this? What are you feeling? I can help you get that goal. Tell me what goals you want to receive. And so I really work with what they're looking for, so I can give them the right water and the amount, tell them to drink the right amount so they can get the results. Basically, I'll tell people, you're not, they'll say, I don't feel, I go, how much water? Let's be honest, how much water are you really drinking? You know, a lot of people think they're drinking a gallon, but they're not. Yeah.
You were mentioning earlier that you have a loaner unit and you've sold lots of machines with this loaner machine. So tell us about your strategy there and how long and cost wise, all of that.
Okay, so we have two loaner machines and they're always busy. And what we do is we find people that don't want to come get water, like my husband. They're not interested in driving to get water. So we explain to them that for $200 a month, you can put this in your home, and we will take 150 of it and put it to the side and apply it towards your machine. So some people do it in 15 days, some people do it in 30, some people do it in 3 months, some people do it. I've had some people do it as long as 6 months. But what I do is I just put the money to the side. I don't spend it. I'm very, very good about that. So
So what you're saying is that you have two machines that are not your machines for your house. They're for people that are interested in trying the water that don't want to come to your home and get it. You install it at their house and then you charge them $200 and 50 of that goes towards the machine and 150 or 50 goes towards you because you provide the machine and the filter and all that. 150 goes towards the purchase of their machine.
correct. I've had people loan them for 5 months and say they don't want one. So I took all the money.
That's a good strategy. Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
have 10 loaners because that same thing. It's like, you got to have them and I ship them all over the place.
Yeah.
They are assets, guys. Think about it. You're paying $5,000 for a product, but then you go to referral on that, so you might even get $2,000 back. Then you have this machine that's making you $150 to $200 a month, and then someone has it a year, and then they're like, hey, something came up, we can't afford it anymore, whatever. Now you just captured 200 times 12. When you rent a house out, you only get cash flow. There's a cash flow king, like $200 to $600 a month. If you have 10 machines out there doing the work for you, yeah, it's good. And then they buy the machine, and then they're in your business. They're sharing the water at the same time. Like one of the best investments you can make is buy yourself a couple machines, get them out there and use. Super powerful.
Yeah, every time I was going 6A or somebody was going 6A or I needed that sale, that's when I bought a loaner.
How do you recruit business owners? Because I know one of your team members, which I'll be interviewing at some point here, she went 6A and she never even did a demo, but you went into her business, you set her business up. So talk about the strategy behind the business setup and how that worked.
Well, Amanda was doing that strategy. And so what we did was we duplicated Amanda. And I told the gal, listen, you get a machine. I'm not working. This is what I do full time. You put it in your store and I'll come in like 6 hours a day and I'll talk to your customers. I'll do the water trial. I'll share the events. I'll do that while you run your store, and I'll put all the sales under you because she was under me. So it was a win-win.
And then her team member went 6A and she never even did a demo.
Never.
And how long did it take her to go 6A?
About a year.
About a year. So Colette spent a few hours a day at this facility for this
Three
woman,
times a week.
3 times a week, to
Yeah.
have her client go 6A. And so how would it work? The customer would be walking around the store, and then how did you interact with them? How did the whole process unfold?
I'd try to wave. Some people would try to like pretend I wasn't there. I'd wave and talk. Again, you only talk to the people that are engaging. If the grumpy people walk by, you let them and you say, have a good day. However, when you engage, you ask them, have you ever heard of this amazing water? And they're like, what is it? And so then you just go from there. It's just an eye contact, is about all it takes.
So explain the situation. You've got this storefront that's a gift center. So inside of the gift center, she has this booth, basically like the fair booth almost. She's got inventory on the shelf. She got books. They even put in a sink for this too. So she got the sink. She got the bottles. Customers walking by, and she's like, "Oh, have you heard about this water?" And the grumpy people are like, "No." And she sees it. She's like, "No way. I'm not talking to them." Happy
They'll
person,
come
like,
back to the store.
yeah, happy person's like, "Okay, what is it?" Then you're like, "Hey, I got the demo right here. Did you have them sit down in the chair, or did you do the demo right there? Or tell us about that."
Yeah. So there was a section where we had the water, where we were pouring water, people coming in to get water. I'd say hi. Hey, have you ever, right when people are pouring, you're multitasking. And I say, sit right here. I'll get you a glass of water. I'll be right with you, and I multitask. And did many demos kind of to get them back to come to a meeting or a presentation when you were coming, or we were doing a full blown one.
Do you want to talk about team and how important it is to get your team on board and what you do to leverage your team?
Yeah, without a team, I couldn't have gone 6A2. I mean, it's like, how my husband started drinking the water and he had a ripple effect where he wanted to go to the gym, he wanted to eat better, he didn't want to smoke. It was that ripple effect. It's the same thing with your team. It's a ripple effect. We all build on each other. And so what happens is that momentum, that curiosity, that the group camaraderie, and it's fun. We're always happy and smiling, drinking water, and you feel good. You feel young. You feel healthy. And we have a valuable product. It's not like we're selling, jewelry, or not that jewelry's bad. Trust me, I wear jewelry. I'm just saying that we have something that really affects the inside of our body, where people are 75% water. And yes, nutrition's important, but there is little nutrition out there anymore. You have to take supplements. And so with our water at 75%, just get real passionate and you spread that to your team. I'm sorry, it's about the team. It's camaraderie. I'm telling you, it's calling and telling people and sharing and Facebook and Instagram and that little team that we have on there.
A lot of your team members, I'd say probably the majority of them are, what age would you say?
Gosh, they range from 30 to 50 mostly. 30 to 50.
Yeah, so that's the target audience, between 30 and 50. Usually I found around like 40 years old, people have enough income, they're more stable in that time of their life, and that's when their health starts going down. And so when I do a lot of prospecting, I look for that type of person. I look for someone that's not, just starting out in life, because they're kind of uncertain. They don't want to spend a lot of money, they don't have a lot of health issues, but they might be more interested in the business, that type of person, because they're ambitious. But what I really look for is someone that's in their middle, early 40s, middle 40s, who might look like they have a couple slight issues. Maybe they're a little overweight. Maybe, they're carrying a cane or something like that, that they look like, okay, this person could be a great prospect for the water.
I want to say though, without the training, I wouldn't have had the confidence. So I want you to know that I trained by myself in my bedroom and learned about the water so I could answer people.
So what you do is when someone's introduced to it, you don't give them everything. You just give them enough that they're like, whoa, this is pretty cool. And then you build up for your weekly event. You're like, now on Thursday at 6 o'clock, we're going to go through the whole thing. If you like what you saw here, wait until you see the tomato test. You got to bring in your own tap water and she's going to test it right in front of you. So then you build for that event. You just give them like little bits of information and build into that event, because we know once people get in the room and then they see testimonies with people that have been drinking this water, they hear business testimonies, all of a sudden they're like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. Other people are having results. If they can do this, I can do this. So it's really the events that build this business.
One of the questions I like to ask people is, how much would you pay a month? What could you budget per month? Where are you at on that? And if they tell me 25, I go, oh my gosh, we have it for you. Let's get you this financing so you don't have to worry about it. Just pay if that's what works for you, we'll do the 25 a month. It's not a problem. You might have to come up with some money down. Maybe the family can help. But if they say 150, no problem. We got a plan for you. So ask them, what can you do a month? What, if your health means so much to you and you want this, what are you willing to pay every month? And wait for them to answer. And then go get the paperwork so they can do it at that rate. But ask them, or rent them a machine. I don't know. Just tell them they got to go to the next stage.
Get the decision. It's time to make a decision. What can you do per month? Now you're asking them and they're committing to themselves. So if they say, oh, I could do 50, perfect. We got the time. You can do 100. Wonderful. We got this.
Like for the low payments, I didn't know that you could get a machine with like payments that low. Do you know if there's options in the US for that?
Amanda can help you with that.
Yep.
Okay.
There's two different options. There is chase.com, the Chase Freedom account. It's a credit line that you get 0% interest for like 16 months. The credit score needs to be around 650 for that, but the minimum payment is 1% of the balance. So a $5,000 purchase would only be $50 per month. And Colette, earlier, tell them what you told them, about using someone else's money. So use that.
So I got the money objection. And I go, what? Listen, we don't use our own money. I don't want you to write a check for $5,000. I said, we use other people's money. He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, listen, if they're offering, I go, you have good credit, right? He goes, I have the best. I go, of course you do. You drive a nice truck out there. How much did you pay for that truck? He goes, what? I go, how much did you pay for your truck? They don't want to answer you. And he goes, 37,000. I go, did you write cash or check or are you financing it? He goes, well, I'm making payments. I go, so, because he tried to tell me he pays everything in cash. So I asked him. And then I said, listen, we use other people's money. We don't use our own money. So you pay, there's 0% interest for 18 months. There's like 3 or 4 cards out there. Just go grab 1 or 2 and we'll get this thing on paperwork, have it paid for. You could pay at your leisure, whatever you want, whenever you want. The minimum is going to be $50 a month.
And Jessica, there's also one other option we can try before, anything else is just go to amandabobbett.com. I have device financing there and they'll approve, like I've seen them approve 450 credit scores before. Just depends if they're making current payments. And they look at everything, the whole picture. So that would be an option before, going down the Enagic financing program or loaner machine. Okay. We're going to have to, it's up past 6 o'clock. We got to respect everyone's time. I know we have so much value. We'll have Colette back on again because it was just phenomenal. I felt like this was such a great call.